computer system rather than somebody having to retype materials that's there. The efficiencies are abound. I want to under promise and over deliver. In 2017, I think the council will see more of what ELMS is going to be able to do for the city.
It's a big, the reason I mention this is it's a big deal. It's really expensive, and it's something that I don't think the public realizes will make all of our staff not have to work on such grunt work. Using technology to its fullest is not something the city has been great at. Over time, when I started, there was almost no email, to give you an idea, and that wasn't that long ago. So I think it's really great that you guys are jumping ahead of this and making it a little bit easier. The inspectors' jobs are hard enough. Having to deal with paperwork is a big part of the job. So thank you for all your hard work on this.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing on item number 8, which is a major component of Business Made Simple with regard to alcohol license applications. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and move approval. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We will now move to our quasi-judicial public hearings chaired by Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 2 items on the quasi-judicial hearing agenda for today. Item number 9 is a rental dwelling license revocation for 921 20th Avenue Northeast for Javid Hadi. And here to present today is Mr. Magrino. Mr. Magrino.
Good afternoon, Mr. Vice Chair and committee members. The property involved in the action today is 921 20th Avenue Northeast. This is a 2-unit residential property. The respondent in this matter, Javid Hadi, is one of the owners of record and previously obtained a license to operate the property as a rental business in August of 2014. On March 12, 2015, a notice of director's determination of noncompliance was sent to Mr. Hadi, notifying him that the property failed to meet 2 of the licensing standards listed in Minneapolis Code of Ordinances 244-1910, specifically standards 11 and 19, which cited unpaid administrative citations and special assessments, as well as the city's ability to revoke a rental license for good cause. A rental license operating conditions meeting was held April 1st, 2015, which established a number of conditions for Mr. Hadi's rental license. He failed to comply with several of the conditions, including the submission of a management plan to the Minneapolis Police Department, abating an open building permit in a timely manner, having no nuisance conditions on the property, and not allowing delinquent taxes, citations, or fees on the property.
Sorry, Mr. Magrino, can you repeat the police department violation?
What was that?
Yeah, can you repeat the section about the police department, about their involvement?
Including the submission of a management plan to the Minneapolis Police Department.
Oh, the management plan.
Yeah,
I just didn't hear what you said.
Mr. Kruger.
Great.
Yeah. After the failure to comply with the operating conditions, notices of director's determination of noncompliance were sent in June and July of 2015, citing the good cause operating standard and stating the city's intention to revoke the rental license. However, at the time, Mr. Hadi elected to vacate the property and not use it as a rental property, and the rental license was closed in September of 2015, which ended the revocation action. This spring, Mr. Hadi notified the city of his intention to reoccupy the property and applied for a rental license on April 19, 2016, listing himself as the owner and Joseph Bamer as the contact person of record for the property. A notice of denial of rental license was sent to Mr. Hadi on May 3, 2016, citing the same rental licensing standard, good cause. An appeal was filed on May 9, 2016, and an evidentiary hearing occurred before Administrative Hearing Officer Fabian Hoffner on August 9th, and the hearing officer is recommended denial of the license. And at this time, the city is recommending denial of the license application. And I'd be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Magrino. I'm assuming there's no relief of further violations if an additional partner is brought on, which seems to be the case here.
Sorry, could you ask that again?
So it seems there's a new individual that's now participating in the ownership of the property and will then be renting out in addition to Mr. Haji.
Mr. Vice Chair, committee members, that wouldn't affect the city's position on this, since Mr. Hadi is the person who owns the property, and he has a stake in that rental license, even though he has a management company that he's now using. It's not something that we would.
Okay, and so the primary things were there was unpaid citations, special assessments, and then a series of conditions were placed on the license. The management plan was submitted to the police department. Ultimately, they weren't met.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other further questions to Mr. Magrino right now? Thank you, Mr. Magrino. I will open the public hearing specifically for the owner and/or the owner's representative. This is a quasi-judicial license hearing for which this committee is limited by law to hearing argument from the property owner at the owner's and/or the owner's representative, but it's prohibited from considering any further evidence or taking any further testimony. This means that you are required to limit your comments to arguments specifically addressing the evidence of testimony introduced before the hearing officer, which is part of the record that is already before us. You may not offer and we may not consider any new or additional evidence based solely on the existing record and the arguments that the parties make today. The City Council may affirm, modify, or reverse the recommendation that is before us. That being said, is the owner and/or the owner's representatives here today? Come on up. You want to? Are you the owner and/or which one are you?
Joe Beamer, the property manager, or hopefully they're being the property manager.
Okay, so you would be the property manager, and I'm assuming that you're representing Mr. Hadi right now?
Correct.
Okay. If you want to state your address as well, and then...
Yep. Joe Beamer, Homestead Plus would be my company, the property management company. Address being Autos.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Fussy a question.
Of course.
Mr. Fussy, given this is a quasi-judicial matter as handled by the hearing officer, are we allowed to take testimony from someone who would be a future property manager?
Madam Chair and committee members, the ordinance is pretty broad in allowing a representative to represent or to speak on behalf of the property owner. He certainly can't issue or offer any new testimony, or he can make argument regarding what was testified to previously and the findings that are before you. But we have, I think, as a practice, allowed, not just attorneys to be a representative of the property owner, but property managers and other people. But I would, advise that it's a very narrow scope that he has here. He simply can make arguments regarding the findings that were recommended by the hearing officer and not issue any additional or new evidence.
Right. That's what I want to be clear about. I'm not sure what this applicant knows about what happened in the past, if he's the person who's going to be talking there in the future.
Right. So the individual presenting today, I'm sorry, give me your last name one more time.
Beamer.
So Mr. Beamer, you are appearing here today as a representative of the individual, not on your own behalf. So in other words, you can clarify bits of evidence that are already on the record, but you can't say, here's what I'm going to do going forward, and here's how it's going to be improved.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Got it. Go for it.
I do have power of authority signed by Mr. Hadi as well, just as that representative as well.
Got it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just speaking as behalf as to hopefully try to save the property from the revocation process and denial of his rental license to the city. As he stated, is a duplex unit with 2 bedrooms being upstairs, 3 bedrooms downstairs. It falls within affordable housing, which the city very well does need. Understanding the past, and I've represented him and have copies of everything that has happened in the past. Understanding that he has not complied to the best of his ability whatsoever. And obviously I can't speak to, as he said, in the future, saying that I, will provide that, but that's what I'm wondering, if there's any possibility of basically not revoke the rental license and deny it to him, is to have the ability to take it over as a property management, because as in the past, he did not comply and be represented by a management company to actually do all of this work and make sure that he does stay within the regulations of the city rental housing licensing division and all their state statutes, regulations as well. So being, hopefully, if this does not be passed and be denied, I would have, the ability to go back with the city to draw up future plans with and keep him into contact. There again, it all kind of depends on the council's decision, so I can't really go into the future unless he's actually given the ability to, again, be sustained as the individual owner, but be fully represented with a property manager and full agent to take over 100% of that property in its dealings with the city. Therefore, He would be technically removed from dealing with the city and rental licensing, inspections, and everything else, being representing him as an agent in property management company to make sure that he follows the rules and regulations under the city code.
Thank you, Mr. Beeman, and I appreciate you staying within the allowed work for this committee. Mr. Fussy, I may be wrong, but regardless of whether there's a new management entity going forward, the violation still accrues to the individual that is presently owning it, which would be Mr. Hadi. Is that right?
Mr. Vice Chair and committee members, I would agree. I think that I guess the two scenarios would need to be separated, and this initial scenario needs to be dealt with. There were conditions placed on the owner. It appears it's been conceded that they haven't been complied with. I think denial or revocation, which was found by the hearing officer, is appropriate. Certainly going forward, there is, for any license that is revoked or denied, there's an opportunity to have it reinstated, and there could be, an arrangement worked out where there's a clean slate and somebody else could either take over ownership or in some entity be able to apply for and obtain licensure. But the way it's constructed now, I just don't think it would be appropriate based on the evidence that was found by the hearing officer and has been conceded by the appellants.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fussy, and thank you. So, given that it's a fairly limited scope as to what we can look at, I will move to revoke the license in this instance. That being said, it clearly appears that you're put together, that the owner is getting their act in line right now, and so then we can reevaluate one at some point in the future once it appears that everything's in line. Mr. Magrino.
Mr. Vice Chair, just to be clear with the wording, this isn't exactly a revocation, it's a denial.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
Just so that's clear for the...
Yes, for the record, this is a move to deny as opposed to a move to revoke. Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll certainly concur with your conclusion in the motion. The testimony has only reinforced the findings that have been established through the hearing process. And of course, our vote will be very circumspect to the testimony, the conclusions that we have before us, and your recommendation. However, since we're talking about future related things, an if-then scenario, the facts before us only tell one story, the very technical side of our decision. But there's a story here. If I were to color in between the lines, the last group of people that I'd give a deal to on an if-then and maybe situation would be this set of actors. So I'm just putting that out there because we did kind of range into some rosy future scenarios. I don't want to set that expectation, but clearly noting that our vote is based on the facts before us.
Thank you, Councilmember Reich. Any further discussion on the motion to deny? Seeing none, I apologize. Yeah, we can discuss later. No, there's no more room to talk. I apologize. Seeing none, all those in approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. That motion passes. Item number 10 is a nuisance condition process review panel recommendation on 111 29th Street West. Director's order to raise and remove the structure. Here to present is Mr. Starry.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. We're here today to talk about 111 29th Street West. The matter came before the Nuisance Condition Process Review Panel on August 4th, 2016. On June 10th, 2016. Excuse me.
Wow.
On June 10th, 2016, the director's order to raise the property was sent to Diane Turnbull. In the appeal filed, Ms. Turnbull stated she believed the structure could be rehabilitated. The property located at 111 29th Street West is a duplex in the Whittier neighborhood. The two-story structure was built in 1900. The building is a 2,296 square foot and sits on a 7,650 square foot lot. The property has been determined to be substandard and is dilapidated from a lack of maintenance. Development Services staff conducted a historic demolition review of the property. They approved the wrecking permits and returned the permit to the Minneapolis Development and Review. The estimate cost to rehabilitate the building is between $104,882 and $151,000. This is based on the mean square footage estimate. The 2016 assessed value of the property is $89,500. The CPED contracted appraiser has determined the estimated aftermarket rehabilitation value of the property to be at $240,000. The estimated cost to demolish the structure is between $15,000 and $22,000. The Whittier Alliance and owners of property within 350 feet of the property were mailed requests for a community impact statement. The department received 4 responses. All state the property has had a negative impact on the community and should be demolished. The nuisance condition process review panel recommends that the director's order to raise the property located at 111 29th Street West.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing for this particular nuisance condition process. And Mr. Fussy, is it the same introductory statement as it would be for a license revocation?
Mr. Vice Chair, that's correct, although in this case there wasn't a hearing officer below, but a panel that made the same sort of finding and recommendation to you.
Okay. So I will just say that this is a quasi-judicial hearing, again, for which this committee is limited to law by hearing argument from the property owner or the owner's representative, but is prohibited from considering any further evidence or taking any further testimony. This means that you are required to limit your comments to arguments, specifically addressing evidence or testimony already introduced at a previous instance. Based solely on this existing record and the arguments that the parties make today, the City Council may affirm, modify, or reverse the recommendation that is before us. Is it in the owner and or the owner's representatives here today? Yes. Come on up. Thanks.
My name is Diane Turnbull. I'm the owner of the property at 111 West 29th Street. And I'm here because I have signed with a realtor, Realty Group, Inc. And there's people that want to go through the house and look at it and are interested in the property, as well as my neighbors here who have been interested and have gone to find financing for purchasing the property from me.
Anything further?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you want to say something? Okay.
Are you? So we're limited to hearing testimony from either the owner or the owner's representative. If you're a representative of Ms. Turnbull, then you're certainly welcome to speak. You authorize him as your representative?
Yes.
Okay, come on up. Just your name and your address, please. For the
My
record.
name is Rodney Ross. My address is 3638 Longfellow Avenue,
Thank you,
South
Mr. Ross.
Minneapolis. I'd just like to say one thing about the situation. There was some things that happened when she lost her husband, which things kind of gotten out of hand. Her daughter, who I'm with, we've kind of stepped in, and it's a bad situation, as you can see. But at the same time, since then, I've talked to realtors and I've talked to developers that are willing to come in and bid on the property and take over that situation. Because right now, my thing is, this is all she has. You know, when she lost her husband, it's just been a bad situation. The property being destructed right now, you know, just you guys going in and bulldozing it, I don't think that would be good because we have people that are willing to buy the property. But So really what I'm saying is if we can get a little time for the people to come in and look at the property. My father owns Ryan's Roofing. He's been over the property. He also does construction work. And I just feel like we just need a little time for the people to come in, developers to possibly buy the property. And even her neighbors that she's had for years, they're willing to buy the property. So right now I'm just not trying to put my mother out of losing everything that she's, since the 70s she's had that property, and put her out, she would have nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I want to put her in a position where at least when she walks away from this, she can have something. Mm-hmm. And right now, the way it looks is that it's going to be demolished, and the state will, as they do, take over the property, and she will end up with nothing. And I don't feel like that is something that I want to see happen. And I'm here with her to back her in this, and I've got people that are willing to buy the property, but we just need a little time. That's all I'm asking.
Mr. Ross, I'm sorry, Miss Turnbull. I'm very certainly sympathetic to your situation. That being said, this home looks in really, really rough shape. Regardless of whether the city does it for purposes of nuisance or you do it following a sale, it looks like it's going to be demolished, right?
Well, that's what we're trying to fight right now. Like I said, there was a hole in the roof. It was a bad storm, and when that happened, a lot of it did get damaged. But there was also some personal situations that we had to bring to the table and get situated, and that's why we're in her life now, to try to get things right. And my main thing is, like I said, is for us to be able to, put Diane in a better situation, save the home. We don't have to save the home. If we can just sell the property, those people will take over. As they said, the developers that I've talked to, they've said that they'll take the property, and that'll be their problem.
So I guess what's the difference between selling the property free and clear without a structure on it that will need to be demolished anyway, possibly, versus you taking care of the demolition?
Well, I think the thing is that Diane is wanting to have some more people go in and see if the house can be saved. If somebody can save the property, you know what I'm saying, and maybe rebuild on it. Walter Thomas, like I said,
Is the desire to save it a financial consideration or a sentimental one?
It's financial. It's financial.
So the belief is that the property is more valuable with this structure on it than without?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I may call you back up in a second. Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you for your testimony. I just wanted to ask staff a few questions. Mr. Starry, right? Did I get that right?
Yes.
How long has this been going on for? How long has Ms. Turnbull known that we've had a concern with regard to this property and its potential demolition?
The property was initially condemned back on July 19th of 2012.
So the application got a condemnation order 3 years ago.
Correct.
And then this has been a problem to the immediate neighbors ever since.
For many years.
And then Ms. Turnbull didn't do anything about it. And so it's not just, unfortunately, about how she handles the property, it's about how it impacts everybody else and the potential for a fire or some sort of problem that could come up. So I guess I'd like to ask Ms. Turnbull and your son-in-law, what have you been doing for the past 4 years? It's not like you were told about this 2 weeks ago. Were you just ignoring all of the orders to do something about it?
No, I was hoping that I would be able to have it in a better financial place where I could get the house fixed.
Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's clearly not possible.
That's not going to be happening.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Sure.
She's Diane's been also helping her brother, you know what I'm saying, financially. And when that roof was damaged financially, and she lost her husband, it just devastated her. She had like death after death, and then all the stuff was put in the house. And like I said, there are some personal issues about it, but at the same time, her not getting in touch, she she was helpless. I've just now come into the situation. She's by herself. She's 67. She's been in that house by herself all these years, and so it's been a bad situation. But at the same time, I'm just here to support her and try to help her. If we can, to save the property and sell it.
How long do you think it would take you to secure a sale to someone else?
Well, like I said, Joe Adams, he's one of the realtors, and he just recently contacted me, said he had a developer that was looking to pay for $90,000. Now, I think 2 months, a month would be reasonable.
But then we'd have just a different owner with the same property that would be looking the way it
Well,
does.
we would have a developer. See, the people we're talking to are people that will come in and bulldoze a home, and then they will reconstruct an apartment building or a house, whatever it is. I've been talking to developers, people that can actually come on the property, just like the people that just left. I even got their card, but we've been talking to developers that can come in and actually put something on the property instead of just buying it and letting it sit.
But it sounds like any developer that would build something new would demolish this house anyway. So in a sense, we're doing you a favor by taking the house down, which gives you the land free and clear, well, other than the assessment for the cost of the demolition. And then you wouldn't have to be worried about this house.
But there are also people who are interested in fixing the house. Do you want to come up here and say something?
Did you want to say something?
Okay.
Mr. Starr, can you come back up real quick? I just want to make sure that we're clear on what would happen if we were to demolish the home ourselves. She would still own the property. Then is that correct?
Mr. Chair, that is correct. The other thing that I guess we need to take into consideration here is ultimately we had to facilitate the clean out of this property, which ultimately ended up in a $10,000 contractor bill, as we roughly took out about 18 tons of material from the structure prior to, because we ultimately went in there to do the evaluation. We were unable to do an evaluation based on the amount of raw material that was confined within the structure. We were unable to access the areas that needed to be inspected. So that would be an additional cost that would need to be taken into consideration along with the demolition cost itself.
Right. So, I mean, to just put this in perspective, here's the financial deal. You presently there's $10,000 owed on top of the rehabilitation of the home that whoever purchases the property next would need to go through. And based on the photographs, the rehabilitation is going to be probably more than it would cost to just build afresh. Does that make sense? So from a financial standpoint, unless there's something that I'm totally not seeing, it would make more sense to have it demolished and then you could sell the property for it to be developed.
Most of the damage that has been done is on the second floor. The water damage is really confined to the second floor. The first floor is just fine. It needs cleaning is all.
And it looks like an entirely new roof too.
And it needs a new roof on. Yes. Part of the roof isn't damaged. There's part of the roof that was done about 20 years ago. I had the first and second floor were gutted pretty much out, and then they were with new sheetrock and everything. All the old plaster is gone, and all new electrical in there and everything. So,
have you run a financial calculation as to how much it would cost to provide the new electrical, improve the first floor, and put on a new roof, and then pay the $10,000 on top of that for the cleanup?
It would not be me that would be doing that. Would be a new owner.
Right, but the price that the new owner would be paying you to purchase the land would include those costs because they would ultimately have to take them over. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Are you? So it's my understanding that you two are interested in buying the house. Okay, and why don't you come up real quick? Yeah. You could state your name and address for the record, please.
Manuel Ibarra. My address is 316 4th Street,
Okay.
West San Michael.
Thank you for coming up to testify here. So are you interested in purchasing the home, including the present building that exists on the property?
Me and my brother, we always try to be interested in the land, the empty lot that was on the site, and now we find out this matter, and we interested in the property, but I don't know I wasn't know all the details about yesterday, and we can work out the expenses and stuff.
Are you familiar with construction work? Have you built things before?
With the house,
Or rehabbed?
I've been helping the first time when I was on my house, because I used to live in the next house. I come in and help her a lot. I fixed one whole side without charging anything. I put the new side roof, put new plywood and stuff, and I was like, neighbors try to helping each other. It's not about hate, but I don't know. And I know familiar with the expenses too, but
So are you interested in purchasing the property with the home on it?
yes,
Okay. And you're willing and able to pay her a sum of money that is at least in excess of $10,000, which is the amount owed for the cleanup to purchase the property?
yes.
Good.
Do you guys have anything you want to add to this? We have a good sense of the situation. Mr. Turnbull, do you have anything you want to add?
Councilmember Goodman.
I would just like to request that you give us a little time to get the paperwork in order for purchase of the house, and for getting financing from the bank and all that.
Thank you very much, Ken.
Can I say one thing too?
Yeah, one more
Also,
thing, please.
With her neighbors they've known her for years, they've already discussed what they want the property next, so they're willing to pay that part as far as the $10,000, and they've already been in talks with the property that's next door to her that they want also. So it's like, they've talked to the bank, they've already did those things. So it's really just about her getting in there, fixing the top roof, and it's not going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars because we got people to do the work. So I'm just saying that give us a little time, a month at least. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we're going to give you 2. So you requested 1. We're going to give you 2 months. So I'm going to close the public hearing first.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
So thank you for coming up to speak. Thank you. You can sit down, Ms. Turnbull. I appreciate you
Thank you.
speaking.
Thanks.
So I am going to move to grant a 60-day, so 2-month extension to allow for you to get your paperwork in order, to get the sale in place, and then to provide our staff, specifically Mr. Starry, with some documentation as to what exactly is going to happen to the property, and whether that means it's going to be demolished or significantly, and I mean significantly repaired. And then we will be able to make a determination then at that time once we get the additional documents in place. That makes sense? Councilmember Goodman.
Mr. Chair, and I would appreciate Mr. Fussy's opinion. Respectfully, I think we might be in a better place by ordering the demolition and staying it for 2 months,
Okay.
so that we don't have this issue back in front of us with another story. We also don't have us making a sympathetic judgment, but the staff making a professional judgment as to whether or not enough has transpired. I heard the chair say he'd like to see some sort of sale, the back payments due to government entities paid, and some sort of plan by the new owner. Obviously, in 8 weeks, they're not going to have a plan, but if they can tell you what they're going to do, we can give them a little bit more time. So unless Mr. Fussy and the chair disagree, I would suggest that we order the demolition, but stay it for 8 weeks, to give them 2 months, which is twice what you asked, to attempt to work something out and have the new owner put a plan in place with our professional staff to determine what's feasible, so that it's not coming in front of us again.
Mr. Fussy? And then Mr. Fussy agrees. I agree as well. So this, I will change my motion to order demolition, staying it for a period of 2 months to allow a report back to staff. Any discussion on that topic? All those in approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Chair Goodman.
Thank you, Councilmember Fry. Seeing no further business before us on the rest of our agenda, we're going to move that to the full council. We are adjourned.